Good day. Here is the news at noon. First, the highlights. Governor Sanwo-Olu attributes increase in Lagos State's gross domestic product to efficient economic policies. Federal government warns private sector to adhere to new minimum wage. On the foreign scene, United Nations General Assembly calls for end to Israeli occupation on Palestinian territories, vows to impose sanctions. And in sport, Team Lagos sweeps boxing gold medals at 2024 National Youth Games in Asaba. Now the details. I am Dele Agadumo. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says Lagos State's gross domestic product (GDP) under his administration has greatly increased in the last 5 years due to well thought out ideas and economic policies to enhance the well-being of residents. Governor Sanwo-Olu stated this when the President and Chairman in Council of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, Pius Olariwaju, led other members of the council to pay him a courtesy visit at the Lagos House, Ikeja. The governor also pledged his administration's commitment to continue to create an economy where businesses will thrive, cost of governance bearable, and prosperity in a safe and inclusive environment.
I want to assure you an institute that will continue to represent you well, and also Lagosians that have asked us to run the government at this point in time. So for us, that has given us a self-start to challenge ourselves, to ensure that we leave indelible mark, whilst ensuring that we do projects, programs, and activity that are people-centric.
Earlier, the President and Chairman in Council of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, Pius Olariwaju, commended the governor and his team for notable achievements and initiatives which have impacted positively on the lives of residents in line with the Themes Plus developmental agenda, which encompasses social inclusion, gender equality, and youth empowerment. Olariwaju, who highlighted some of the programs and corporate social responsibility initiatives of the CIBN, hinted of plans to tackle the Japa syndrome in the banking sector with the establishment of a state-of-the-art academy to train new personnel within a short period of time and render quality services to the people, and as well uphold the ethics and professionalism of the sector.
We are also aware of your Jakonde Leadership Academy, and we saw some of them when we paid a visit to some of your ministry, and my joy knew no bound because we are being futuristic and believing that tomorrow, if we cannot even prepare the future for the youth, we should be able to prepare the youth for the future. We also realize your effort in the area of LASODA, that Lagos Office of Disability Affairs. That is a height of inclusiveness.
Our correspondent Adiola Akinele reports that Governor Sanwo-Olu was announced as being endorsed as one of the fellows of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, alongside the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu. In a bid to explore and showcase the tourism potential of Lagos to the global world, the state government has partnered the federal government and a New Generation Bank to revive activities in monuments across the state. Commissioner for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Toke Benson Awoyinka, stated this during a tour of some monuments on Lagos Island. Some of the monuments inspected include Oniko House, Freedom Park, National Museum, J. Randall Center for Yoruba and Culture. Mrs. Benson Awoyinka noted that the government alone cannot handle the vast investment and exploration of the tourist sites in the state, maintaining that the cultural heritage of Lagos must be preserved for future generations.
Lagos is open to business. Lagos is open to promote tourism. Lagos is open to showcase our art and our heritage, our culture. We're embedded with so much culture, and this is the time to show it. So we're going to create that enabling environment for all the businesses in Lagos to thrive, for collaborations, for people, for our young people to thrive. Because if you look around us, we have a demography of very, very young individuals who are waiting out there, seeking that for us to hold up that hand, and we're ready for them now.
On his part, Director General, National Commission for Museum and Monuments, Nigeria, Olubile Holloway, expressed the hope that the partnership would birth more global recognition for the country and Lagos. He observed that there are a lot of hidden treasures which the younger generation, which he referred to as Gen Z, did not know about the tourism heritage of the country.
The most important thing in this partnership is for us to, like I always say, begin to retell our stories. The National Museum itself is a national monument, and within that we have artifacts that go as far back as the 15th century. So these artifacts tell not just the Lagos State story, but the story of Nigeria. And by partnering with Lagos State, we can make the National Museum a tourist destination in a wider ecosystem of cultural tourism. Oniko itself is a cultural hub.
Managing Director of a New Generation Bank, Abubakar Sulaiman, promised funding for investment in the tourism sector in Lagos with a view to making profit and attracting more foreign investors to make Lagos a global tourist attraction in line with international standards.
Let's remind ourselves is that tourism is also a business. The way you grow tourism, the way you grow art and culture and the creative industry is to make sure that there is enough resources to invest. It's only when you've invested that you can then raise the standard so that people from all over the world can see and be willing to come here.
The partnership is ahead of World Tourism Day, which will be celebrated next week Friday with the theme Tourism and Green Investments. And now to the rest of the stories. The federal government has called on agencies recruiting for the private sector to adhere to the 70,000 naira minimum wage, warning that any deviation would not be tolerated. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment, Ismaila Abubakar, stated this while speaking at the 13th Annual General Meeting of the Employers Association for Private Employment Agencies of Nigeria, held in Ikeja, Lagos. Abubakar, who was represented by the Director of Employment and Wages of the Ministry, John Iyamali, said the minimum wage is now a law and it is a punishable crime for any employer to pay less than 70,000 naira to any of its workers. In his remarks, President of the Employers Association for Private Employment Agencies of Nigeria, Olufemi Ogunlowo, asked the government and Nigeria Labour Congress to clarify whether the 70,000 naira wage is net or gross, stating that all ambiguities in the act should be highlighted and explained. Also speaking at the program, Chairperson, Nigeria Labour Congress Lagos State Council, Funmilayo Sesi, said the prevailing hardship had made a mess of whatever income any worker was earning in Nigeria, calling on private employers to ensure the payment of the 70,000 naira minimum wage. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has congratulated his deputy Obafemi Hamzat on his diamond birthday, describing him as a trusted, committed and dedicated partner. Governor Sanwo-Olu also described Hamzat, who clocked 60 today, as a brother, friend and partner in the Greater Lagos agenda. He noted that the cordial relationship between him and his deputy has led to good governance and the delivery of dividends of democracy to millions of Lagosians in the last 5 years. Governor Sanwo-Olu praised Hamzat for his long years of dedicated and meritorious service to Lagos State and Nigeria. Also, Chairman, Lagos State House Committee on Information, Strategy and Security, Stephen Ogundipe, has extended his heartfelt wishes to the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Obafemi Hamzat, on the attainment of his 60th birthday. Ogundipe acknowledged that the Deputy Governor is a valuable asset, saying God Almighty has endowed him with wisdom and prosperity, which is needed for the development of the state. Ogundipe, on behalf of the Speaker of the House, Munashiru Obasa, principal officers and other lawmakers, said the Deputy Governor's contributions and efforts in the transformation of Lagos is impactful and indelible. And now to foreign news. The United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, has adopted a resolution calling for an end to the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories within a year and the imposition of sanctions for non-compliance. United Nations member states passed the non-binding resolution on Wednesday with 124 votes in favor, 14 against, and 43 abstentions. The measure isolates Israel days before world leaders travel to New York for the UNGA, with 6 days of speeches from world leaders kicking off on September 24. In our sports, in a stunning display of dexterity, perseverance, and grit, Team Lagos has swept all 4 gold medals in the boxing competition at the 2024 National Youth Games. Team Lagos under-15 boxers' dominance across the weight categories marks a historic achievement for the state in youth sports, particularly boxing. Speaking on the team's success, Director General of the Lagos State Sports Commission, Lekan Fatodu, commended the young boxers for their dedication and discipline. Fatodu emphasized that these victories serve as a foundation for future achievements, both nationally and internationally. And that is on this afternoon. Just before we go, stop for pedestrians at zebra crossings. You can follow us and like all our various social media platforms: X at Traffic Radio 961, Facebook Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, Instagram Lagos Traffic Radio 961. Subscribe and watch our news and programs live on YouTube at Traffic Radio 961. You can also visit our website www.trafficradio961.ng. Did you know that the Sanwo-Olu administration partnered 2 private firms to commence training for 1,480 creative practitioners? You can get more details on the Lagos State Government website. To end the news are the highlights of the major stories. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu said Lagos State's gross domestic product (GDP) under his administration has greatly increased in the last 5 years due to well-thought-out ideas and economic policies to enhance the well-being of residents. Federal government has called on agencies recruiting for the private sector to adhere to the 70,000 naira minimum wage, warning that any deviation would not be tolerated. Also told you that the United Nations General Assembly UNGA has adopted a resolution calling for an end to the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories within a year and the imposition of sanctions for non-compliance. And in sport, in a stunning display of dexterity, perseverance, and grit, Team Lagos has swept all 4 gold medals in the boxing competition at the 2024 National Youth Games. For contact to the newsroom, send a message to info@trafficradio961.ng. The next news broadcast compiled by Sadiq Yusuf, Dele Agadumo. Good afternoon. Thank you for listening.